Test 1, 2, test. And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Final game here of the district playoffs. The Mount Lake Terrace Hawks versus the Meadowdale Mavericks. This is the third place game. This is the loser out game. The game that has the most significance out of all the games today. Team that wins this game heads to the state tournament. The team that loses this game heads home. Just watched Gabby Calhoun lead off this game a moment ago with a little fly ball to second base that Sierra Hart fielded and put her out for the first out of the game. And now Ashley Fitzgerald stepping in for her first at-bat of this game. Julia Rubel on the mound. Name sounds familiar to us. We watched her sister Alyssa Rubel pitch many times last year. Alyssa, who has since graduated and is now playing at Seattle University. And, oh, by the way, we're going to have Alyssa on later on in this broadcast to talk about the game a little bit. And she can give us a little bit of an insight as to what she's thinking of her sister Julia out there on the mound. Is strike three called. Julia striking out Ashley Fitzgerald, and that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction, and that will bring up the always dangerous Maddie Christensen. Maddie with 10 home runs on the season so far. Would be nice to get number 11 right here, as she has been an all-world player for Mount Lake Terrace since enrolling at the school back in her freshman year. 4-year varsity player. Has 12 letters in sports at Mount Lake Terrace High School. One of the more distinguished athletes in the history of the school. And I think she knows a thing or two about the pitcher she's facing. I just mentioned that Julia's sister Alyssa plays softball at Seattle U. Maddie will be joining Alyssa on the Red Hawks roster next year. She will head on down the road a little ways and also play softball in the big city. 3-0 count to Christensen. Rubel fires outside corner. Thought that was initially going to be called a ball. Maddie started to head towards first base. She thought she had it too. Umpire didn't quite see it that way. 3-1 count. Maddie hits that one into center field. Tiffany DeWayne floats back, gets under it, and makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning for Julia Rubel. Meadowdale coming up for their first plate appearance here shortly. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
And here we go, bottom of the first inning. Meadowdale, Mount Lake Terrace. Meadowdale coming into this game with an overall record of 20 wins and 3 losses on the season. Mount Lake Terrace 12 wins and 11 losses. These are two teams that both made it to state last year down in Lacey. Unfortunately, not going to happen this year. Only one of these teams is going to move on. The losing team of this game, well, they will see their season come to a quick end at the end of this night. And the winning team will head on down to Lacey next Friday where the state tournament starts. Meadowdale, a team that finished third place in the state tournament last year. Tournament that we were very fortunate to get a chance to cover. Tiffany Dwayne leading off the bottom of the first inning for Meadowdale. Dwayne, a very speedy player. She is a player who, once she puts the ball in play, she can get down that line very quickly. She's looking at an 0-1 count right now. She's looking for the slap ball hit. Ran towards that one, realized ball was high and away and did not swing. Ball one. 1-1 is the count. Here comes the next pitch. Dwayne fouls that one off, strike two. These two teams did meet twice during the regular season. Both games going rather convincingly to Meadowdale, applying the 10-run mercy rule to both games. Talked to Shannon Rasmussen, actually exchanged an email with her earlier today, as that ball's hit right back to the pitcher, Calhoun, and she throws it away. I don't know if we'll call that a throwaway, but at any rate, the ball gets away from Fitzgerald. Had the fence impeding our vision there a little bit, but Fitzgerald, for some reason, was not able to make that catch. It floated right on by her. And unfortunately for the Hawks, Dwayne ends up on first base on the error. That is not what you wanted to do if you're Mount Lake Terrace. Put the fastest player on Meadowdale's team on base to lead off the inning. And that will bring up Haley Costello. Just mentioning how I talked to Rasmussen earlier today, and she mentioned that the two worst games of the team's season both came against Meadowdale. A number of errors in both games, a number of errors in the field, a number of mental errors, and unfortunately, that's how we just started off this inning as well, as we see a ball hit right back to Calhoun, and they were not able to make the play. Calhoun fields this one in time on the play as Costello is out at first. Dwayne almost getting picked off at second. They went for it, and unfortunately the ball got away from Christensen. So Tiffany Dwayne moving ahead 60 feet on the fielder's choice. Nice play by Gabby Calhoun to get Costello out over at first. And that will bring up the pitcher, the sophomore, Julia Rubel, for her first at-bat. Rubel hits that one into center field. Aversano cannot come up with it. She tries to make the sliding stop, and it gets by her all the way back towards the fence. Coming in easily to score is Dwayne, and standing on second base. We'll give her a double. That's Julia Rubel, and very quickly Meadowdale out to a 1-0 lead. Aversano kind of got herself caught in a tough predicament there. I think she was trying to decide if she wanted to try to make a sliding catch or just play it on a hop, and unfortunately for her, she went down to the ground. She'd kept that ball in front of her. More than likely, Dwayne stays over on third base. However, the ball did get by her. Megan Bruce had to finally come over and stop that ball from rolling towards the fence, and on the play, Dwayne easily coming in to score. And that brings up the very dangerous freshman, Emma Helm. Helm with 7 home runs already this year. That ball is way inside for ball one. Helm has already hit 2 home runs during this district tournament. One earlier tonight when Meadowdale defeated Stanwood 11-0. She also hit one on Tuesday as well. Strike one, 1-1 is the count. So we've got 2 freshmen going against each other right now. What a big moment for both of them. Both in middle school just last year, and now they're playing against each other in a district game to determine which one of their teams is heading to the state tournament. Outside ball 2, it gets away from Beisch. Ball bounces back to her, but before she can get it, Rubel heads on down to third on the pass ball. Sliding in easily, and Julia now only 60 feet away from giving Meadowdale a potential 2-0 lead here in the first inning. Calhoun winds and pitches. Helm chops that one over to second. Wilcox looks, and they drop the ball. She looked Rubel back to third. Tried to just toss the ball over to Fitzgerald. Couldn't make the catch, and I'm not sure what happened there either. I think Fitzgerald just had it fall out of her mitt. Got away from her on the play. Rubel comes in to score. makes the score 2-0, and Helm ends up safe over at first base. So Mountlake Terrace had a very, very good chance to hold Meadowdale to potentially only one run this inning. Should have had 2 outs and kept Rubel on over at third, and instead there's still only 1 out. Scores 2-0, and they've got a runner on base. So we'll bring up Caitlin Webster to the plate. Webster, the sophomore. Another player we covered at the state tournament last year as we broadcasted both Meadowdale and Mountlake Terrace games. Used primarily as a pinch runner last year. And Webster hits that one into center field. Aversano floats over. She makes the catch. Nice hit by Taylor. On the play, Helm is at third. She's going to come home. Christensen with the throw to the plate. Not in time. Helm slides safely. Meadowdale with a 3-0 lead. And on the play, Taylor will give her a single. She heads on down to second base. Picks up an RBI on the play. And Meadowdale, a team that doesn't give up a whole lot of runs and does not lose very often, already out to the 3-0 lead here. And first baseman Ashley Brook will now step to the plate for the first time in this game. Here comes the pitch. Brook hammers that one right up the middle. It goes off Calhoun's glove. Christensen making the nice play over at shortstop. Fires it for the third out. And the Hawks are out of somewhat danger, although damage is done here. 3 runs in the bottom of the first for the Mavs. We head to the second. Meadowdale 3, Mountlake Terrace 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network. And here we go, top of the second inning. Mountlake Terrace trailing 3-0, looking to get on the board here. And leading off the inning, the hero from the last game that was played right before this one, Hannah Wilcox. Wilcox unofficially with 6 RBI in that game. Had a 3-run home run. There was no question about that. She also came up at one point with the bases loaded. And depending on your interpretation, and I gave her a double on the play, it may have been an error. Hit a ball off of the left fielder's glove. Left fielder reached up to catch it. It went right off her glove and up against the back of the fence. 3 runs came in to score. So Wilcox responsible for getting 6 of those 11 runs in with her bat. Swings and misses at that pitch. Full count to Hannah. Rubel looking in. Winds and pitches. Fouling that one off is Wilcox. A little bit inside. I'm not sure. That may or may not have been ball 4, but then again, when you've got 2 strikes on you, you have to protect. That's exactly what Hannah did on that play. Julia throws the next pitch. Hannah hits that one high but foul. So if Mountlake Terrace is not able to come back, this could be potentially the final game in the career of 4 of the Hawk players. Maddie Christensen, Amanda Aversano, Hannah Beisch, and Megan Bruce, all seniors on this team, as Wilcox swings and misses, and that is a strikeout The second one for Julia Rubel, and that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. And that will bring up the catcher, number 12, the aforementioned Hannah Beisch. And what a career it has been for a few of those players. So Christensen, 10 home runs this year so far. I believe, I don't have it in front of me, 8 or 9 home runs last year. All-area player last year, and sure to get that award again this year. Hannah Beisch has done some amazing things with her bat. Of course, Amanda Aversano, great glove out in center field. Beisch hits that one into shallow right field. Sierra Hart fades back. Gets called off by Samantha Gregoric, who makes the catch. 2 outs, and that will bring up, once again, the aforementioned Amanda Aversano, another senior. And then Megan Bruce, who came out for softball last year and has done a nice job both in the outfield and pinch running last season, for that matter. 4 players who all played in the state tournament last year in Lacey and who have, like I said, done some great things here at Mount Lake Terrace and could potentially see their careers at MTHS come to an end here in a few innings if they're not able to score some runs. Get a quick timeout there and a nice laugh from some of the players as the district championship game between Ferndale and Glacier Peak is taking place just off to our left, and a foul ball from that game made its way over to our field. Landed right in between Taylor and Castillo over there at between short and third base. Costello, I should say. Make sure we get her name right this year. Outside, ball 1-1-1. We'll try to give you updates on that game too. Both of those teams have already advanced to the state championship, so really they're playing for the rights to put a banner up. This is the game where one team will go home and the other will go to state, as this is for 3rd and 4th place. Double elimination tournament that started on Tuesday with 8 teams. We're now down to 4. Aversano looking at a 2-1 count right now. Outside, ball 3, 3-1. This could potentially be our last broadcast of the school year for the Sound Live Sports Network. Swung on and missed, strike 2, 3-2 is the count. We've had a lot of fun doing these games this year for really all 4 schools in the Edmonds School District. Edmonds, Woodway, Linwood, Meadowdale, and Mount Lake Terrace. Ball is fouled off. Of course, this is a broadcast that originates primarily... Oh, I guess I was just told Keith Neely is actually going to broadcast the Edmonds Woodway baseball games on Saturday, so we do have another broadcast coming at you. One, maybe 2. So we'll see how Edmonds Woodway does, and we certainly wish the boys well. Boy, and now that that's mentioned to me by Angelo Como, I must mention that they have a very tough task at hand. They are playing Puyallup that day, a baseball team that is undefeated and I believe ranked number 1 in the state this year. So good luck to the Warriors, but hey, you made it to state. If you get a win there, that's gravy. We'll see how they do. That is a single elimination tournament, so the Warriors would have a second game later on that day if they are able to beat Puyallup. But for us, this might be our last broadcast, and it's been a lot of fun this year. We've covered a lot of great athletes, met a lot of fun people along the way, and all these games are available on SoundLiveSportsNetwork.com. Ball is hit up the middle, Aversano. It's fielded by Costello. She fires it across to Brooke, who makes the play. And once again, the Hawks are put down 1-2-3. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Meadowdale 3, Mount Lake Terrace 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network. here we go. Bottom of the second inning, Meadowdale with a 3-0 lead. And leading off the inning for Meadowdale, player who did very well in this same game last year, only it was a championship game, the final game of districts between Mountlake Terrace and Meadowdale. Samantha Gregoric. Gregoric hitting a big 3-run home run, which ultimately ended up winning the championship for Meadowdale. And that was Gregoric as a sophomore. And Dennis Hopkins, the head coach for Meadowdale, was teasing me before the game. I was asking him about the lineups, and apparently Dennis went back and watched that game recently. And at the time, I was saying it was a good thing that Mountlake Terrace was getting to the freshman because she's a freshman and they can get her out easily, right? And then she goes and hits a big home run way over the fence and ultimately won that game. So I will not question what Gregoric can do here. I know she's got some power, and we'll see what she can do at the plate here. Takes that one low, ball 3-1. And we now have a special guest joining us, Beth Marriott, the athletic and activities coordinator. Did I get it right again, Beth?
You did. You got it right.
I guess for the Mountlake Terrace folks listening, the Kim Stewart of Meadowdale and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. That's me.
So she is joining us right now, and we'll get to her in just a second. Here's Gregoric. Heads on down to first base. She walks, and that will bring up the junior, the second baseman, Sierra Hart. And Beth, your team here, 3-0 in the second inning, and they can hold this up. You're heading down to Lacey again next week.
Yeah, that would be pretty exciting. You never count Terrace out, though. Absolutely don't. We've had a lot of great matchups this season, and tonight seems to be exactly the same thing.
Great play by Hart, by the way. She bunts it over to Harder. Harder tries to make the play at first. Throws it just wide of Fitzgerald. Hart ends up on first. Gregoric down to third base on the play. So immediately here in the second inning, Meadowdale threatening once again, and right away we're back up to the top of the lineup, and this is kind of what Meadowdale does. They just find ways to get on base and score a lot of runs, and consequently they win a lot of games.
Well, we've had a terrific season. Our girls are playing with great confidence, and it's just amazing to watch the growth that some of these young ladies have had over the year. They're playing like they want a trip back, so hopefully they're going to earn one tonight.
Yeah, they're looking good right now as Coach Hopkins calls Dwayne over to the third base line to have a quick word with her. So this is a busy time of year for folks like yourself. You're, again, athletic director. You've got a lot of sports going on, players and teams going to state, activities coordinator. So obviously there's a lot to wrap up here in the next couple of weeks, graduation and amongst other things, right? What is it like to be you right now?
Right now, I feel like I get up and I put on my track shoes and I start running because from the moment I get to school, sometimes as early as 5:45 to when the evening ends tonight here, sometime around 8 o'clock, it's go, 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 go. We've got graduations. We've got planning for prom.
Interesting play here. Did she get her? No, as the ball went off the glove of Maddie Christensen at shortstop into center field. Aversano firing the ball in. Play was very close at the plate. On the play, Sierra Hart sliding in with the score, 4-0 Meadowdale. Should also mention Dwayne hustling on down to third base, Costello to second base. So 2 on, only 1 out, 4-0 game, and it looks like Shannon Rasmussen is going to head on out and talk to Calhoun and perhaps even make a change, as Calhoun did pitch that last game also, and there was some talk before this game as to whether or not she would even start it or if they would go with Ashley Fitzgerald or maybe even Maddie Christensen, so I'll wait to see. So prom on Pier 66. Now let's just kind of look at the scenario now. Obviously, it's 4-0. It's early. We're not putting anything past anyone yet, but no. Meadowdale could end up in Lacey on Friday. If they win a couple games there on Friday, they'd play into Saturday. I don't have it in front of me, but if memory serves me correct, championship game is generally around 2 or 3 o'clock. As is the third place game.
Absolutely. And so we've got curling irons with special plug-ins. We've got our makeup artists all set up. The dresses are steamed and ready to go. All we're going to need to do is find a bathroom and hopefully a shower somewhere. But there's one thing I've told the seniors is, prom is prom, but you can't take away a state game. And so the girls they're playing for keeps.
Well, and both of the seniors you're talking about are Tiffany Dwayne and also Ashley Brooke, 2 girls who played in state last year. So I think they know a thing or two about what that means and the significance of it. I think that's a nice problem to have, quite frankly. If you have to play in either a state championship game or even a third-place game earlier on in the afternoon and then hustle down to prom, that's a pretty good day.
It's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Well, we'll see if they can pull that off, and certainly even us Mount Lake Terrace folks, we're going to be rooting for Meadowdale if that is in fact the case, and would love to see them in the championship game. Speaking of which, that was a lot of fun last year. This is a team that finished third at the state tournament. I know Alyssa Rubel was the star pitcher on that team, but everybody else is back. I understand that I didn't know this until today. It shows you how little I've followed you guys this year, but Rebecca Wright, your catcher from last year, I looked at Coach Hopkins and I was looking at the lineup and I said, "Where's Rebecca at?" Because I obviously remember she hit the big home run against Enumclaw last year, and I didn't realize that Rebecca had forgone playing baseball or softball this year to row.
She did. That was heartbreaking for both my husband and I because she became easily one of our favorite players to watch.
Dwayne hits that one over near second base, making a catch as Wilcox. Very wisely tagging up as Dwayne. She comes in to score 5-0. So great catch by Wilcox. Very heady play by Dwayne to wait until the catch is made. She hustles in, and now we've got a 5-0 game, and Costello heads on down to third. And yeah, I've mentioned this a few different times, both on the air and off to other folks. Out of all the games we broadcasted last year, I don't think it gets much more exciting than that Meadowdale-Enumclaw game. It was a quarterfinal game for the right to go to the semifinals. Meadowdale was down to their final strike in the 10th inning. It was an extra innings game, and Meadowdale down by 2 at the time, I believe, and Rebecca Wright in the pouring down rain hit a 3-run home run to end the game, and Meadowdale went on to the semifinals.
Oh, and I'll tell you where I was. I was sitting at home watching your broadcast
right.
and loving it. I remember running up and down the hallways, so excited. I just knew I wasn't going to make it with traffic, so I hunkered down at my house and saw a great broadcast of the game and really, really felt like I was there. The action was amazing.
It was a phenomenal game, and again, there were a few different moments where it looked like Meadowdale was in trouble and Enumclaw would go ahead and Meadowdale would come back, and just an incredible game, and it was a lot of fun for us to broadcast too, and it was a moment we'll never forget, and so certainly Rebecca Wright has always will always be remembered in the Meadowdale annals for her softball work, but certainly good luck to her in rowing. That's fantastic that she's doing that.
That is, it really is, and I see her in the hallways, and she misses it, but she's living with her decision and doing very well in what she's moved on to. So we're so proud of her, regardless.
Well, and by the way, Calhoun just made the catch on Emma Helm. We'll keep it here during the break because I want to talk to you a little bit more about this. Speaking of Meadowdale catchers, we just talked about Rebecca. Mm-hmm. The young lady who's replaced her this year, Emma Helm, freshman, and she's got 7 home runs already this year.
She's quite something.
Wow. Was that a surprise? Did anybody know she was coming up through the ranks? Or?
Well, I'm sure those folks in the softball world knew she was coming up through the ranks, but I was pleasantly surprised at her performance and her confidence and how well she fits in with this team.
And especially when you're coming into a veteran team like this, a team full of experienced players with state experience at that, for a freshman to come in here and to make such an impact, that's a huge deal. It is,
and she's an impact player for us. We're really proud of the work that she's doing, and again, her confidence behind the plate is really something to behold.
Should mention it's never a bad thing when you've got somebody with the last name Rubel on the mound either, is it?
That's never a bad thing. No, absolutely not. She's having a great night tonight, too.
Is it fun for you to watch some of these athletes go on to the next level? I know we've asked Alyssa to maybe come up here in another inning or so to broadcast with us, and we can catch up with her. But to see these kids around the hallway on a daily basis, and for you as the athletic director, to see them go on to college and to play college sports, that's got to be kind of special for you, right? I mean,
it's incredibly special for me because 1979, when we brought softball back into the schools, I was on a team at Wenatchee High School, and this just brings back memories of trips to Tacoma from Wenatchee to play in our own state competitions. And at that time, it was slow pitch, and I was playing fast pitch during the summer, so this is just such an exciting thing to see these girls and to see how far the game's progressed over those many, many years since I was on the mound.
Well, and you're right. I know even going back to my days just in the 90s at Mount Lake Terrace, we had a player there who went on to play at the University of Washington, and she never played for this high school team because it was slow pitch, and consequently she knew that if she had done so, she wouldn't get a chance to get looked at by scouts and by the colleges, and so she went off and played select ball, whereas now the girls can stay at home and play for their...
He's got an assistant in Alan Pavez, another great... they just have a great chemistry between the two of them.
Really quite a few great coaches at Meadowdale. You guys you've done a nice job. I can give you a lot of credit for that, right?
Thank you. I'm going to have to say most of them were in place when I got there. I just hope I don't ruin it all.
Well, so far so good. I know even from our standpoint in doing these broadcasts this year, we did a lot of Meadowdale football games, and Mike Don obviously having a fantastic year. And I tell you what, I still get sick to my stomach when I think of the Eastside Catholic game. That was one or two plays away from going to the Tacoma Dome. But,
I do too.
I digress, but that was it was a lot of fun, and certainly for us, like I said, we try to cover as many Edmonds School District sports as possible, and having done quite a few of the Meadowdale games, it's been an exciting year to say the least, and certainly it's not ending here, and if these ladies keep playing the way they are, you're going to be a busy lady next week.
I think I am. And I'm excited for that. And either way, no matter what the end result is tonight, I'll probably be down there supporting one of these two teams from the Edmonds School District because my husband's a proud Hawk, and we enjoy watching them play almost as much.
Sure. Well, and I would ask you as well, what does your weekend look like if, in fact, Meadowdale goes? Because you mentioned your golf team also moving on. I know track and field's taking place next week. Are you going to try to get to multiple sports, or is there just not enough time?
I probably am not going to get to golf, and I wish I could, because we also have several events going on in the school district. We have our Scholar Athlete Banquet, which is on Tuesday evening. Meadowdale High School is celebrating with our senior sports night on Wednesday. And then we're getting ready, I hope, for some softball action over the weekend.
Megan Bruce laying down the bunt there, doing a nice job of getting the sacrifice on the play as she pushes Sammy Harder over to third base. And that will bring up the leadoff hitter and the pitcher. Actually, I should say the starting pitcher of the game, Gabby Calhoun, who started the game at pitcher and is now playing center field. We were talking a little bit earlier on the broadcast, too, in terms of some of these teams that are playing in districts here this week. You've got a team here that only has 2 seniors on it. Mount Lake Terrace, 4 seniors. We did the Ferndale game yesterday, a team that we didn't know very well until this week because of the fact that they play up north. They've won 21 out of 22 games this year with only 1 senior. And then we had the Everett team just before this game, a team that also has only 1 senior. A lot of youth in the area here. It's always kind of exciting to see these girls kind of grow. And, boy, this softball tournament might be really exciting next year if that's the case.
Absolutely. These juniors, these sophomores, they are stepping up and making some really exciting softball for us all. And you're right. In years to come, we're going to have a lot to celebrate, just district-wide.
Well, and 2 players directly in front of us here, Gabby Calhoun holding the bat and Emma Helm here behind the plate, 2 freshmen who have both been outstanding this year. So we might have 3 years left with both of these players here, and as Gabby trots on down to first base on a walk. Certainly Edmonds School District having a lot of success in all sports the last few years, maybe more so than I've seen in the few decades that I've been following the sports around here. I don't know what we attribute all of that to. Certainly a lot of it can go back to some of the youth programs, but I know there were times where certainly at Mount Lake Terrace we've had some raw years and some lean years in sports, and they've done their share of getting to state, and even Meadowdale for that matter. I go back to, like I said, 20, 30 years ago when some of their teams struggled, and you guys have put your share of athletes on to the next level and into the state tournaments. And, of course, Edmonds, Woodway, and Linwood always do a nice job. It's fun to see South Snohomish County representing, so to speak, in not only at Wesco but at state tournaments.
It is. I just tell you, watching these young athletes and how hard they work, and not only just here on the field today, but what they're doing to prepare themselves for the next game or the next season. We've got a strong group of kids that are working hard here in the spring to prepare themselves for next fall and what that's going to look like for them. We've got a beautiful weight room piece that's going on with our students, and we've had some folks do some remodeling in our weight room work. So we've got more girls in the weight room preparing themselves and getting ready for everything. And let's not forget, we've got those cheerleaders.
Well,
what it means to be a champion.
Definitely. Hey, this game, by the way, just got a lot more interesting. It's 5-0. And Maddie Christensen, who has 10 home runs on the year, who leads the entire area with home runs, is at the plate with the bases loaded. And for a while there, it was looking like this game was going to get away from everybody. And Maddie can make this a 5-4 game with one swing of the bat. She's going against one of the best pitchers in the area. So let's see what happens here. They call a strike on that one. Outside corner, strike 2. I believe that is an 0-2 count now. And like you mentioned, that's the thing about softball. One moment you think one team is starting to pull away. The next moment, within the blink of an eye, things can change quickly. That pitch is outside. I believe that's ball 1. They're showing 2-2 on the board. They might have it right. We'll check. But at any rate, we know she's got 2 strikes on her. Should mention that Maddie, heading to Seattle U next year on a softball scholarship, will be a teammate with Julia's sister, Alyssa.
Wow.
And Julia strikes out Maddie. So that ends the inning. Mountlake Terrace threatens, but they do not get any runs. We head to the bottom of the third, 5-0. Beth, I'll let you go, but unless you want to stick around.
I thank you so much for your time, and I think you've got other people on your docket for later on in the game, so I'll turn over the mic to them, and thank you so much for inviting me up here.
Are you kidding? Anytime. We always enjoy having you, and thanks for catching us up, and thanks for everything you've done for us this year, too. We've certainly had a lot of fun covering Meadowdale sports, and continued success, and best of luck getting through the next couple weeks.
Well, thank you so much.
Sounds good. So that's Beth Marriott, the Activities and Athletic Director at Meadowdale High School. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll get back to action. 5-0 Meadowdale.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And here we are back to action. Bottom of the third inning, Meadowdale with a 5-0 lead on the Hawks. Hawks made it about as interesting as they could. They're loading up the bases for Maddie Christensen. Should mention that strikeout by Julia Rubel, that was another strikeout brought to you by Icelandic Construction. Rubel now with 4 strikeouts on the game. Ashley Fitzgerald continuing to pitch here into the third inning. She's now facing number 11, Caitlin Webster. Webster flew out to center in her first at-bat. Inside, ball 2, 2-1. Thing about doing these games across the school district, you get to see family members of other participants from other schools every once in a while, and Caitlin is one of those. Is her brother or her cousin Tyler Webster starting center? Actually, I take that back. Starting nose tackle for the 2012 Mountlake Terrace High School football team that we broadcasted in our first inaugural season. She comes from a whole family of Meadowdale Websters who played a handful of sports at Meadowdale High School in the 80s and 90s, and now she's following in the family tradition. She does a nice job to walk in that at-bat. She heads on over to first base, and that will bring up Haley Taylor. Taylor with an RBI single back in the first inning, now up for the second time today. Busy time of year for these ladies and for the administrators, for that matter, as we were just talking to Beth Marriott. Between proms and graduation and state tournaments, there is a lot going on. And again, we mentioned it last inning when Beth Marriott was on with us. A couple of these Meadowdale players might have a bit of a stressful moment on Saturday when they have to potentially hustle from a state softball game over to a prom. Throw to second base and out at second. Trying to steal is Webster. Nice throw by Beisch. Nice put out by Christensen also, making the tag over there. See, that tournament for the state title starts next Friday. Times and matchups to be determined. As a 16-team double elimination tournament. Calhoun coming into shallow center field, makes the catch for the third out. 3 up, 3 down, so to speak, for Meadowdale here. We head to the fourth. the Mavericks with a 5-0 lead. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network. And here we go, top of the 4th inning. Hannah Wilcox to lead things off for the Hawks. Fouls that one away. Ball 1, strike 1 to Wilcox. Hannah, the junior, striking out in her first at-bat in this game. Mentioned before, she had herself one heck of a game right before this against Everett. Game that started at 4 o'clock this afternoon. 2 doubles, a home run, 6 RBI in a game in which the Hawks won 11-1. And now Wilcox looking at a 2-1 count. Hits that one hard. Just pulls it to the left a little bit too far into foul territory. Strike 2. 2-2 is the count. Wilcox coming into this game with a .354 batting average. 5 home runs on the year prior to today. She hit her 6th, obviously, in that last game. Always a dangerous bat. When these two teams, and then she strikes out on this one, caught looking. Didn't like that call. She looked back at the umpire, but to no avail. That is the 5th strikeout of this game for Rubel, and that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. 1 away, and that will bring up Hannah Beisch. Beisch flying out to right field in her first at bat. Beisch coming into the day with a .469 batting average, .757 slugging percentage, 3 home runs, 8 doubles on the year. All of those in 66 at-bats, so she certainly can do some damage with the bat. At this point, the Hawks would be content just having her get on base as they're still looking for their first run of this game. Rubel delivers. Inside, ball 2, 2-0. A lot of cheering going on the field right next to us. 3-1 game. Let me see if I can find out who's winning that game. Told that Glacier Peak with a 3-1 lead over Ferndale. That's the district championship game, and that game just headed to the 5th inning. Again, the significance of that game, not quite as much as it is over here with Mountlake Terrace and Meadowdale. It is the championship game, so one of those teams will get to hang a banner in their gym. However, both are heading to state regardless next week as Beisch trots on down to first on the walk. So win or lose, both of those teams will advance. 2 very good teams, by the way. Glacier Peak beating Meadowdale to get to that championship game. And Ferndale, a team that had an incredible year up north, playing in the Northwest Conference. They went 19-1 in the regular season, and all of us Westco folks, we weren't sure what to expect from them coming into this district tournament. We knew they were scoring a lot of runs, but we didn't know what their competition was looking like. And they proved themselves to be worthy as they advanced to that championship game by beating both Stanwood and Mountlake Terrace on Tuesday. Actually beat Stanwood by 10 runs and had the mercy rule applied to that game before beating Mountlake Terrace in the second game, 3-1. Amanda Aversano fouling that one off. 0-2 count. And a Ferndale team that really impressed us. Only one senior on the entire team. And here they are in the championship game, already qualifying for state. Congratulations to Glacier Peak as well, as Aversano fouls that one off. First time that Glacier Peak softball has ever advanced to the state tournament, and obviously that means that if they hold on and win that game just to our left, it will be their first district championship ever as well. So congratulations to the Grizzlies on a very successful season thus far, and continued success to both of those teams, really, to Glacier Peak and Ferndale, as they will be representing our district in the state tournament, as well as one of these teams here in this game, whoever wins. 0-2 count to Aversano. Julia Rubel winds and pitches. Outside, ball 1-2. Beisch over on first base. Sammy Harder on deck. Outside, ball 2-2. If you're just tuning in, Meadowdale with 3 runs in the first, 2 in the second. And that is all the scoring we've had thus far. So we are in the top of the 4th inning. Full count, 3-2 now to Aversano. Aversano grounding out to shortstop in her first at bat back in the 2nd inning. Rubel, the sophomore, winds and pitches. Strike 3. Aversano swings and misses. That is the 6th strikeout of the game for Rubel, and that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. Sammy Harder now coming to the plate. Harder with a single back in the 3rd inning. Takes that one a little inside. Harder with a big 3-run double in the 1st inning yesterday in the first round action when Mount Lake Terrace went on to defeat Marysville Pilchuck. Strike called. 1-1 is the count to Harder. Mentioned earlier, we might have another guest or two here before this game's over. Hoping to have Alyssa Rubel join us, the sister of Julia Rubel, who led Meadowdale to a 3rd place finish at the state tournament last year. Nice play by Costello, fires it across the diamond. Brooke makes the catch and the put out. And once again, the Hawks are denied a run here in the 4th inning. We head to the bottom half of the inning. Meadowdale 5, Mount Lake Terrace 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425.
And here we go, back to action here, bottom of the 4th inning. Meadowdale with a 5-0 lead. Stepping to the plate, Samantha Gregoric, the sophomore. Samantha got on a walk back in the 2nd inning. Hits that one foul. 0-1 count to Gregoric. Couple sophomores facing off against one another here. Fitzgerald winds and pitches. That's a riser, a little bit too high. Ball 1. 1-1 is the count. Gregoric will be followed by Sierra Hart. Tiffany Dwayne will bat after her. Ball is fouled off, out of play. 1-2. Gregoric stands and waits for the pitch. Fouls that one off down the first base line. Still a 1-2 count. And we have a special guest that's about to join us here, somebody who I had the pleasure of calling a few different times last year when she was playing for Meadowdale. Turn her microphone on there. Somebody who might know a thing or two about this team in blue also. Alyssa Rubel, how are you?
I'm good, very good.
You're going to be really happy right now. Your little sister and her team are up 5-0 right now as strike three, Gregoric striking out. And that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. First strikeout of the game for Melick Terrace. Not the first strikeout in this game, though, is little sister Julia. She's mowing down quite a few of the Hawks hitters so far.
I know. I was very proud of her. You're coming out to play today.
You taught her well, right?
I tried to.
So we'll talk to you a little bit about her, but first we got to ask you about yourself now. Big year last year for you.
Yeah.
Starting pitcher almost every game, right? How do you move this microphone up just a little bit? There we go. Starting pitcher for most of the games last year. Not all, but am I right?
I think two. I think Julia started 2 of the games during the regular season. Yeah, and I think I pitched the rest.
And you guys, 25-3 or something ridiculous?
Yeah,
like
we
that.
were. I think we only lost like 1 or 2 games. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and third place finish at state.
Yep.
Big shutout victory for you against University, if I remember right, in the third place game. And now you've moved on to bigger and better things. I see you're wearing a Seattle University softball sweatshirt.
Yep.
So what's it like to be a Red Hawk?
I love it. Seattle University is amazing. I love my team. We did pretty good this season. We finished about middle of the road of the WAC, and then we placed about 4th at the WAC tournament, which was pretty good.
Now, what about you personally? How was your season?
It was really good. I actually got to throw quite a bit. Got to play some really good teams, some of the best teams in the country, which was definitely an experience. Kind of shaking up there, pitching against some of the best girls that play for like Washington and Oregon. So sure.
So now you, what's that like for you? Last year you're pitching against Melick Terrace and Glacier Peak and Shorecrest, and all of a sudden now you're going into the WAC where I don't even know who the WAC is anymore.
It's changed.
It changes all the time, yeah. And you're going against teams out of Utah and Colorado and all these other places. What's that competition level like?
It's such a jump. The girls are so good, and the offense is just amazing now, especially since like the hitting's gotten so much better. It's really hard to dominate teams now, but each game that I threw, I definitely learned a lot more and grew as a pitcher. So that was pretty great.
By the way, Sierra Hart just walking on that last pitch on the full count. That's going to bring up Tiffany Dwayne. So with your schedule at Seattle U between classes and softball, how often have you had a chance to watch Meadowdale this year?
This is my first time actually all year long.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's no time ever. It's so hard and it's so demanding, and I was so happy that I got a chance to come and watch them because I really wanted to watch them all year long.
Now, do you and Julia talk on a regular basis?
Yeah, she always keeps me updated.
Nice little chopper there as Carricker drops it in left field. However, she's able to get the force on Hart. Fortunately for the Hawks, they got lucky on that one. Carricker couldn't make the catch. Hart had to wait to see what happened there. By the time she took off at first base, the ball was being thrown in. So Sierra is forced out at second base, and on the play, Dwayne ends up on first. So this is going to be not only fun for you to watch Julia, but really, we talked about this earlier in the broadcast. You were the only senior on that team last year.
Yep, it was just me.
So this is pretty much your entire team from last year. Is it is it kind of weird for you to watch them? Are you proud? What are you feeling when you're watching this team play right now? Do you wish you were out there?
I definitely do. I loved playing with them. They were for sure like one of my favorite groups of girls to play with. We became so close, and we've all known each other for so long, playing in like the softball community and everything. It was pretty great to have that year last year, but I'm happy for them to have their time this year and come up there and see who steps up big and can pull it out for them.
Now, if they go down to Lacey next Friday, which if they can hold on to a 5-0 lead here in the fourth, they will. Are you going to get a chance to go watch them?
Yes.
Or what's your schedule looking like?
Yeah, I definitely will be able to.
Dwayne making the steal there, tagged by Christensen just a little bit late. Speaking of Christensen, you've heard of her, right? The shortstop out there from Melick Terrace?
Just a few times.
Just a few times. So teammate next year at Seattle U?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Do you guys talk about that a lot?
Yeah. When me and Maddie actually played together when we were 14, and Stan was actually my coach too, and I actually played with Hannah too. I've played with so many girls on Terrace's team, and it's funny that now that we're like 18 and 19 that we come back together and end up playing then again too after we've played all these years against each other.
And you're going to be Red Hawks together.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you now has she asked you for advice as to what it's like, or does that maybe you don't have to give her that advice right away? It'll wait till the summer, but it's got to be kind of nice for her to know that she's going into that school next year, knowing that she's got a very close friend who's already there and on the softball team to kind of give her advice. Have you kind of already talked to her a little bit about what to expect? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the things that we were kind of me and the other freshmen were kind of shocked at. We're definitely going to try and ease the other girls into, so it's not as much of a shock. Because I definitely wish I would have had someone to tell me some of the things I had to learn on my own. So.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. What's the biggest shock for you as a freshman? I'm sure you expected it to be a transition, but what's the biggest surprise to you been so far this year as a new student at a college? It's
definitely the competition level, and then just being able to balance your schoolwork and your sports with everything. It is such a challenge because there's such little hours of the day left for you to take a breath and actually just be able to hang out. And I do love that though, because it keeps me on a schedule, but there's some times where it has its downfalls. So it's definitely just adjusting that schedule and getting into that first quarter and really knowing your pattern and everything.
I can imagine. By the way, that last pitch got away from Beisch, and on the play, Dwayne heads on down to third base, so full count right now. By the way, is Tiffany Dwayne one of the fastest players you've ever played with?
She's pretty quick. She's very fast. I always liked it when she stole some bases and got all around the bases. She's just running everywhere.
It makes it easier for everybody, doesn't it? Yeah, so Castillo, no kidding. I was really impressed there. So 2 more runs coming to score. Now it's 7-0 there. So, of course, Dwayne coming in first, and then Costello right behind her. And like I said, Julia ended up on third base. Did the two of you play you're 3 years apart, so really up until you got to Meadowdale, had the two of you ever played at all together until last year?
Nope, and that was the best part about it, because it was kind of special because it was for my senior year. I got to play with my sister, which was awesome. I loved it. We get along pretty well, actually, so I really liked playing with her a lot. It was really cool.
Always a bonus. And then at the same time, you knew your right fielder pretty well last year. Then obviously she was out there in the field. And
yeah.
Do you go ahead and scold her a little bit if she ever dropped a ball or missed one, or do you?
Yeah, I'd be like, you can walk.
Nicely done.
No ride home.
Yeah, she wasn't driving last year, that's for sure. But unfortunately for her, I guess for that matter, she didn't drop too many out there. She was a pretty good fielder too.
She was pretty good.
By the way, have you? So this is the first time you've probably ever seen Emma Helm play.
I've known Emma for a really long time.
Have you?
Yeah. But this is actually my first time seeing her in blue, so that's pretty nice. But I've heard she's had a heck of a season this year. 7
home runs as a freshman.
It's pretty awesome.
I've got to think that she might be another player who Bill Hogan and the rest of the SU folks might be recruiting there in a few years. As she, of course, I jinx her on this play. She strikes out, and that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. Hey, can you stick around for another inning?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. So we're going to take a quick break. We're about to head into the, I guess it's the, what are we in here now?
Hey, sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing, who won the game last night, and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
And here we go, top of the 5th inning, 7-0. Meadowdale over Mount Lake Terrace. Steve Willits being joined by our special guest, Alyssa Rubel. We're used to seeing Alyssa out there wearing the blue uniform. Now she's watching little sister Julia pitch and watching her former teammates as they are now only 3 innings away, maybe sooner if they get a 10-run limit here, to going to state one more time. And your 4 years on varsity, how many times did you go to state?
We went to state twice, and that was my junior and senior year.
So we're looking at a
Yes.
three-peat then potentially
Yep.
here. Wow.
Yeah. So we're looking at a little bit of a streak going, from never going before ever to getting a little bit of a streak. That was pretty nice.
And again, this might not be a fair question to ask because I know you've only seen this team once this year, but you've been around them a little bit, obviously, and you talk to your sister from time to time. High school is one of those things where players tend to advance from year to year, some more rapidly than others. And have you, just in what little you've watched or what you've been following, are there a few players in particular at Meadowdale where you're looking out there now going, wow, I didn't know that she's that good now, or I didn't realize she could do that? Have you seen anything that kind of has piqued your interest at this point? Or
I definitely think our shortstop, Haley Costello, she looks like she really stepped up. I can see that just from the way how she's playing. Also, I know Tiffany's gotten a little bit better at center, and she's been playing really good. And then basically our whole entire infield's always been pretty solid. So it's gotten more and more solid as years have gone on.
yeah, that had to be a nice luxury for you as a pitcher last year, too. I mean, you knew that anywhere they hit that ball, whether it's Brooke, Hart, Costello, or Taylor over there, I mean.
She always drives me crazy. But yeah, no, she's got it. She's good.
What's the composure level like for her? I mean, I know she's a younger player. She's only
Yeah.
a sophomore. And she's somebody who you need to go out there and occasionally calm down when she's.
She's definitely kind of like the opposite of me. I always I'm such like a pit bull almost. Like I just keep going and going and going. Like I never let up. She sometimes she needs a little bit of reassurance and just like to take a second to calm down and stuff. She's a really good team player in that aspect, that she likes everyone to be behind her and everything.
Well, and I've got to think that this helps her out too. As I look out here and I'm watching the conference between all the infield, she first year as a starting pitcher. Obviously, you mentioned she pitched a couple of games last year when you weren't pitching, but really her first year as a starter at pitcher. But the entire infield minus Helm all played last year.
Yep.
So it's Taylor, it's Costello, it's Hart, it's Brooke. Having a veteran infield like that when you're a young player, that's got to be very helpful, I would think.
It really does. When I was a sophomore on my select team, I had a very veteran infield and even outfield for that matter, and it helps so much. It really helps you to carry yourself through all the learning experiences you'll have being young, because you're young, you're going to make mistakes because you don't know and you don't realize, and that helps you grow too. It's just knowing that you have good dependable people behind you. Really solid defense.
And we'll see if that conference in fact works here. She's now facing Gabby Calhoun, another freshman, I might add. Calhoun looking at ball 2-0. And we were talking earlier, and this might be something you haven't been able to follow as much this year, but really you look at these two teams out here right now, and for those who have been watching the entire game, I sound like a broken record, but I'm catching you up here. Meadowdale, obviously, only 2 seniors on the team. Mount Lake Terrace, 4 seniors. Right before this, we played an Everett team that had 1 senior on their entire roster, and now we've got a Ferndale team over here who is contending for the championship in districts, and they only have 1 senior. There's a lot of youth in Wesco softball right now.
There is. You definitely can see it. You can even see it from just the play. The scores are kind of ran up on both sides just because there's a lot of inexperienced players. But I think as the years go on, it was almost when I was a freshman, you saw that big senior class kind of leave, and it changed the culture, and now it's starting over again. So you'll see it get stronger and stronger, and I think the girls will get better as the years go on, tighter games.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit also just a few innings ago in regards to the fact that as Calhoun hits that one over to short, Costello, did she get the tag on there? I couldn't tell. Safe at first base, and they're going to say she did not tag Carricker, so the bases are now loaded with nobody out. And for the second, I was going to say Maddie Christensen was coming up, but she's not. I almost said for the second straight time Christensen was coming up with the bases loaded. However, she's got to wait one more batter. Fitzgerald is now coming to the plate. Seems to be a little bit of confusion out there, as I think one of the Meadowdale players was trying to argue that Costello might have made that tag on Carricker. So for the second time this inning, they're having a little conference out there at the mound. You don't see that very often.
I guess so.
But one of the things we were talking about earlier, and for some of us older folks who've been following Wesco sports for a lot longer than some of you have been born, it just feels like the Edmond School District in particular, the sports teams have gotten a lot more competitive in the last, 5 or 10 years for that matter.
Definitely.
Really, Mount Lake Terrace teams seem to make it to state a lot more than they used to. Meadowdale, for that matter, as well. You've grown up in the area. You've played a lot of sports as a young kid. I mean, do Did you see that coming up? I mean, were there more influences for you guys, or just better youth programs? What do you think it is that's made some of these teams so powerful in the last couple of years?
I think it's like definitely a lot of the kids moving away from playing Little League and playing select at like way more earlier ages. Like you'll even see like in the Little League, like they even struggle to field teams now because everyone's looking to like be more competitive in all the sports that they play. And especially like in our area, we'll see like generally like majority of the girls that are out there right now play select and play on outside teams or have that kind of an experience. So I think that's definitely where you're seeing like the more competitive atmosphere and seeing like these teams make it to making it to further in state and making it past other places that we haven't been before.
No, definitely. And these sports become more year-round too, don't they?
Yes. They become your lives.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I know from covering a few of the other Meadowdale sports teams, a lot of these girls are one-sport athletes. I mean, at this point, they don't play basketball in the off-season or volleyball or anything like that.
You kind of get that luxury taken away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you start to really commit to a sport. I know I got to play basketball for actually quite a bit longer than I thought I would be able to.
Swung on and missed, so Rubel with another strikeout. I now have her down for 7 for the game. Third time she struck out Fitzgerald today. And now we've got an interesting matchup. It's your sister versus your future Seattle University teammate coming up with the bases loaded. What can we expect here?
Maddie's a great hitter, so we'll see what she does.
Fouls that one off, strike one. So Maddie's a senior, Julia's a sophomore. Have these two had a chance to face each other very often, or?
I think this is like one of their really first times like really seeing each other. I don't know if Julia pitched the other games against Terrace. I know Sam pitched one of them. I know that they all did fairly well. Ooh, there we go.
No backyard games at the Christian Center, the Rubel House back in the day or anything like that?
Not that I can remember.
Well, I'm sure Julia, if she had to watch you play a few times when you and Maddie were teammates, she's probably watched Maddie hit on more than one occasion, I would imagine.
Several times.
2-1 is the count. So now, if you're a pitcher in this situation, and for you, I know nothing probably phases you. You're used to getting players out, but you're up by 7 runs with the bases loaded. You've got probably the most dangerous hitter in Wesco at the plate right now, home run-wise. Do you consider maybe just even throwing her junk and thinking if I walk in a run, I'm okay with that, or do you want to go after her?
Like in this situation, in Julia's position, I would definitely be very careful. I know how powerful Maddie is, and many accounts she's gotten me, and I've gotten her too at the same time, so she's definitely a powerhouse. Ooh.
And there she goes. She hits that one into center field.
That'll score one.
Tiffany DeWayne making the catch, and on the play.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the Westco Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the Westco Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the Westco Conference.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Caitlin Webster, the sophomore, up once again. Caitlin flew out to center in the first inning, walked in the third, and was then caught stealing. Now she's up for her third at bat. Caitlin, a freshman on your team last year, used primarily as a pinch runner at the time, and now she's in the starting lineup.
Yep, yeah, she came in and she definitely did everything that we asked her to do last year, so I'm so happy that she's in the starting lineup this year. She really earned it.
Another player who looks like she's vastly improved. I mean, again, we didn't get a chance to see much of her in the playoffs last year other than watching her hustle around the bases, but she did that very well.
Yeah, she was awesome. She didn't make any mistakes, and that, honestly, pinch base running is the most stressful position to be put in sometimes because it all rides on you. Like, the bases are a very scary place sometimes, and she did awesome. She's very quick.
And speaking of Lacey, I need to get back to that before we let you go, too, since this team looks like they're getting very close. third place in the tournament last year. I know it's probably not quite what you wanted, but
Heartbreaker.
yeah, 2-1. I'm trying to think of who you lost to.
Yeah, we lost to Kamayakin, who ended up actually being the state champs last year.
That's right.
So 2 times in a row, actually. And we lost it. Bases were actually loaded in the bottom of the 7th.
And Webster lines that one into left field for a base hit.
And we couldn't pull it out. We couldn't heart attack kid it anymore.
Yeah, but your other games were great. Like I said, we broadcasted most of your games last year. I'm trying to think. I want to say it was one of the Auburn schools to start off the tournament.
I can't remember who we started the tournament off, but
Auburn Mountain View. Does that sound right?
Yes, yeah, it was Auburn
right?
Mountain View. Yeah.
And then I know you played Juanita. Well, I guess it was Juanita the next day, right?
Yes, Juanita the next day, and then we played.
Of course, the Enumclaw was the big one.
Enumclaw, that was the game. That was the. Wow, that was the. I was crying after the game. I was so happy that we won. That was my heart and soul into that game.
Yeah, and that was a high-scoring game, which was on you between you and I forget her name now, the Enumclaw pitcher, who was one of the top pitchers in the state.
Yeah.
First 3 or 4 innings, I think it was like 2-0, and we thought we were going to get a pitcher's duel, and then the rains came.
Yeah,
I remember watching you struggle with your hand a lot.
I got my bout of rain, I think, in like the 5th or the 4th, and then the rain started to pour on her in the 7th, and fortunately it was good timing for us because, that's definitely that was really tough for her, especially because she was young too. I know she's a young pitcher, and pitching in the rain is not anyone's friend ever.
No, and I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've ever felt worse for a team in my life because we broadcasted the Meadowdale Enumclaw game, and of course that's the game that we were just discussing. Rebecca Wright, 2 out, 2 strike, 3-run walk-off home run to send you guys to the semifinals. Enumclaw then had to turn around 15 minutes later and play Mount Lake Terrace in a loser-out game. Enumclaw took a 7-2 lead into the 4th inning, and Mount Lake Terrace ended up beating them 12-8 thanks to 2 Grand Slam home runs. So Enumclaw, and Maddie Christensen, you don't see that very often.
Wow. Taking
a wicked hop that bounces off of her, and on the play, both runners advance as Taylor is over on first base now. And, so that game was exciting. And then, of course, the next morning in the semifinals, you lost that game to Kamayakin.
Yep.
And then what was that like? Then you had to kind of regroup. You had to beat Juanita to get to the third place game, which you did fairly handily. Yeah. And then against University, I want to say, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm surprised I know all this stuff. But I think you threw a 3-hitter against University, if I remember right.
I think I had a no-hitter going into the bottom of the top of the 7th.
That's
or something.
Right.
It was something like that.
6th inning, yeah.
Yeah, and ended up giving up a couple of those hits, and my coach walked out to me, and he was like, "You just don't want to leave, do you?" And I was like, I was dead tired. And I was like, I wish that was the real reason. But after we lost to Kamayakin, I definitely turned around to these girls, and I looked at them and I said, "We're not done yet. We're not going to stop here. We may not have reached our goal this season, but we're gonna make some damage here. We're gonna get as far as we possibly can." And I definitely saw everyone. There was not 1 second where anyone ever doubted the fact that we were going to make it. There was no bummedness that we weren't going to be state champions, and we actually ended up just pulling it out and getting 3rd place.
By the way, another base hit there, and I've got to tell you, I do not know who number 14 is, so I need to look her up on my phone here. So
that is
unless
Lauren.
you know it off the top of your head, is that Renee Boss last year and Callie Birchall and a few others? Can't think of the Shorecrest girl's name. There were some good pitchers in the Wesco last year.
I think her name was Amanda.
Sounds right.
I can't remember her last name.
There we go. Yeah, but
she was another one of the good ones.
So good to see Callie and her group go on to win their first ever district championship. So congratulations to them. And like I said, I have a feeling Ferndale will be back next year with only 1 senior. That ball gets by first base. Fitzgerald can't quite come up with it. Sierra Hart gets the single. Sliding in is Haley Taylor there as she makes it a 9-0 game, and all of a sudden I told you we were going to let you go after the third out, but the third out might be the end of the game here as it's 9-0 now. And again, if Lundberg can come in to score from second base, this game will end. And Tiffany DeWayne now at the plate.
Wow.
So do you have looking back then, 3rd place finish down in Lacey. I guess 2 different questions. Number 1, do you have a favorite memory of that tournament? And then number 2, when you look back on it now, obviously at the time you were a little disappointed. You wanted to win the state championship, but do you look back on that with fond memories?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite tournaments that I played in. And
everybody's safe
speed.
there. Dwayne getting on the single via the bunt, and the bases are loaded with one out, and all of a sudden that winning run is just 60 feet away as Lundberg. If she can get to home plate now, this game is over.
Wow.
So good memories from that tournament. And a favorite memory?
I have to say it's the Enum Claw game. That was my favorite memory, was pitching that game, be able to be a part of that team, and that's the excitement. And then I'm pretty sure I was on like second base when that happened, actually, when she hit that home run, and I was just fist pumping all the way. I was so excited for her because Rebecca definitely earned it. She was on her the entire time. I know she had struck out like the first couple times against her, and because she was hitting foul balls that were just so far foul, and she finally made it straight, and it just flew. And that was awesome. Just like the feeling of that win that just made me so happy. I was really proud of everybody.
Yeah, and if I remember, I think you guys had given up 2 or 3 runs in the top of the 10th inning.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember that all too well.
Yes.
in fairness, now when we get to the 10th inning, they started off with a runner on second base. Is that right? So it made it a little more difficult. But yeah, I remember thinking going into the bottom half of the inning, you guys were probably heading towards the consolation round. And
that's what I thought too. For a second, I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen for us. Like, I knew that I gave up a couple hits, and then we made a couple errors on top of it all, and then it was just like a mess. And I'm pretty sure I remember turning to, actually, Haley Costello, who's up at bat right now. I remember turning to her and saying, we're going to pull this out and we're going to win this, and you're going to be our spark plug. And she went out there and she made an amazing play, and she just did it for us. She's another one of those kids that was just awesome to play with.
I think with 2 outs, if I remember right, I think Spanny actually had a walk, which was pretty huge at the time, and helped Rebecca Wright come to the plate. And yeah, that was a lot of fun for all of us, and certainly good memories. And segueing that into what looks like it's going to be another trip to Lacey next week, and maybe this team can create some more of those memories.
I know. I hope so.
We will see. 2-0 count right now. Ball 3, 3-0.
Oof.
And Costello is 1 ball away from sending Meadowdale to their 3rd straight state tournament.
I think Haley, as a freshman, was actually up here, was the one that had the base hit that sent us to the championship.
Outside corner, strike 1.
Doesn't want it to end. Here we go.
If you're Haley, maybe you want to actually end it with a base hit, right? So we'll see what happens here. So maybe
Haley's known for this. She always gets put in all the pressure situations.
And she comes through a lot, right?
Yeah.
A little less pressure when you're up by 9, but no less. It's a chance to win the game. Ball is hit to Wilcox. She comes home. Beisch makes the catch at the plate. 2 away, gets the force out. Lundberg is out on the play, so Costello on the fielder's choice, getting on base. And this is interesting, isn't it? Alyssa Rubel joining us on the microphone, and her sister Julia has a chance with this at-bat to send her team to the state tournament. Sophomore versus sophomore. Fitzgerald, the lefty, looking in. A little bit low, ball 1, 1-0. You have a lot of family here right now at this game?
Yeah, my mom and dad are here, and actually 2 of my other teammates came with me to come watch some softball. Some more softball since we can't get enough.
so Julie has a little audience anyway. Right up the middle, off of Fitzgerald. Wilcox. Oh. They call her out at first. Julia is out, and that means we go to the 6th inning. Still 9-0. Meadowdale still in control, but they've got to keep playing. Hey, Alyssa, I'll let you get back to your friends and your family over there. But, hey, thank you for coming up and joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Much appreciated. And, hey, continued success to you at Seattle U. We'll definitely keep following, and who knows, maybe next year we'll get you on one of these broadcasts again.
Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks again. So Alyssa Rubel joining us here. We head to a break. We're through 5 innings of play. Mount Lake Terrace trailing Meadowdale 9-0. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network. And here we go, top of the 6th inning. Meadowdale 9, Mount Lake Terrace 0. Hawks just staying alive right now as the 10-run rule almost applied. Down to the ground there. Fortunately, she looks to be okay as she gets up, runs back to her center field position. So Hannah Beisch on base via the error, ends up at second base. And that will bring up another senior, Amanda Aversano. Suddenly a lot more quiet around here as that Glacier Peak-Ferndale game had a lot of fanfare. Very close game heading right down to the wire there. It was a 3-2 final. I was also told that Ferndale had a runner on second base with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Glacier Peak getting a strikeout to end that game. So congratulations to them. Aversano fouls that one off. Figured that Bircher would be pitching for Glacier Peak today and Maley for Ferndale. We knew that it would be a low-scoring game, and it certainly was. 3-2 was the final. 2-1 count now to Aversano. Rubel winds, throws that one just a bit outside. Ball 3, 3-1. Ball is hit just past the diving shortstop. That one's going to go all the way towards the warning track. Beisch coming around to score. Aversano ends up at second base with the RBI. Hawks finally on the board here, 9-1 in the 6th inning. That will bring up Sammy Harder. Harder 1 for 2 in this game. Singled in the 3rd, grounded out to short in the 4th. Junior stands in against Rubel. Looks at a strike on the first pitch. Cassandra Carricker on deck. Harder gets a hold of that one, hits it foul down the left field line and just out of play. Webster fading over to have a look at it. Couldn't quite come up with the ball. A very long strike for Harder. She's now looking at an 0-2 count. Julia back on the mound. Seems very composed at this point. A lot of smiles from Rubel as she looks in and is ready for the next pitch. That one gets away from the catcher helm. Goes all the way to the backstop, and Harder, or Aversano rather, hustles down to third base on the play, on the passed ball. 1-2 count to Sammy Harder. Julia's riser just a little bit too high. Ball 2, 2-2. Started to mention this earlier. The tournament down in Lacey next week, the state tournament. High, ball 3, 3-2. That is a double elimination tournament. However, once you lose a game, the best you can do is finish in third. You cannot win the state tournament once you go into that consolation bracket. Again, it's a 16-team tournament to start off the day as Harder strikes out. And that strikeout is brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. Thank you again, Icelandic, for everything you've done for us this year and supporting the broadcast. One away, and that brings up Cassandra Carricker. Ball 1 to Carricker. So that tournament will start in the morning. Generally, there is a 9 o'clock session followed by, I believe the next set of games start at noon. Team would need to win 2 games on Friday. If they're able to make it through that first day, they would then play on Saturday with games starting usually at 9 a.m. And the championship and third place games are right around 2 o'clock. So if Meadowdale does in fact hold on to win this game and you're a Meadowdale fan, it's a fun tournament to go down to. There's 4 fields there, action all day long, plenty of softball to be had, more than your share by the time it's all said and done. And to watch some of the best teams in the state go at it with so much on the line, it's definitely a tournament worth checking out. So if you get a chance next week, Friday and Saturday down in Lacey, stay tuned for more details. You can always find out exactly where these teams will be playing and what time by following wescoathletics.com. Swung on and missed. Carricker goes down swinging. Another strikeout for Rubel. And that strikeout also brought to you by our strikeout sponsor, Icelandic Construction. The 9th strikeout of the game for Rubel. Brings up Lauren Miller, the sophomore. Miller walking back in the 5th inning. Base hit would score a run as Aversano was over on third base. Miller chops that one foul down the first baseline. 1-1 is the count. Swung on and missed, strike 2. Two count to Miller. Rubel 1 strike away from her 3rd strikeout of the inning. And Miller gets the base hit. Her 3rd RBI of the day. First one in this game. Only had 1 coming into the tournament here on the entire season. She now has 4 as Aversano trots in to score. Miller ends up on first base. 9-2 now. Meadowdale still well in control with a 9-2 lead. And Emma Helm goes out to talk to Julia Rubel. They share a nice little laugh out there. You can tell they're still pretty loose. They know they've got a nice lead here. And really they're only 4 outs away from it advancing to the state tournament. Inside, ball 1 to Gabby Calhoun. Oh, and I'm just being told that Madison Boucher is now the catcher. Did not realize that. She's coming for Emma Helm.
She came in last inning.
So let's see if we've got any other changes out there. Just looking through the infield rather quickly. The starting infield is still the same other than Boucher in for Helm. So Taylor over at 3rd. Costello over at short. Hart at 2nd and Brooke at 1st. And Calhoun strikes out. So that is the 3rd strikeout of the inning for Rubel. The 10th strikeout of the game. We head to the bottom of the 6th. 9-2 Meadowdale. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Here we go into the bottom of the 6th inning. A couple of changes here. Maddie Boucher getting her first at bat of the game, and the senior, Maddie Christensen, now on the mound for the final time as a Hawk. Moving over from her shortstop position. So we had a few changes there. Gabby Calhoun started the game on the mound, went to center field when Fitzgerald was pitching, and now she's moved over to shortstop. So we look around here a little bit to see what the lineup looks like. A fairly common lineup for your Hawks right now is Fitzgerald over at first base, Wilcox is at second, Calhoun at short, Harder at third, Carricker's playing left. Got Amanda Aversano back in center, and Megan Bruce in right field. Known who tore her ACL a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago rather. The freshman also had 19 innings pitched this year. So Maddie really the fourth option at pitcher, not to say that she's the fourth best pitcher on the team by any means. It just means that she is a player that they really value out in the infield and have tried to get her to stay in that shortstop position as much as possible. And I'm sure being that this is the last game of her career at Mount Lake Terrace, Shannon Rasmussen wanted to give her one more chance to get on that mound and have a chance to finish this one off on her own. She's now looking at a 3-2 count. Ball is fouled into the dugout, still looking at a full count. Christensen, again, one of the more decorated athletes we've ever had at Mount Lake Terrace High School. 12 letters. She's lettered in 3 different sports 4 years in a row. Stand out not only in softball, but also on the basketball court and on the soccer pitch. Ball is lined up the middle. Calhoun tries to make a play on it. Diving to her left. Can't come up with it. It goes into center field for a base hit. Boucher getting on base for the first time today. And that will bring up, should be number 11, Caitlin Webster. We'll see if they've made any other substitutions here. Maddie fires that one in. Strike one. This is, in fact, Caitlin Webster. Webster flew out to center field in the first inning, walked in the third, singled in the fifth. Looking at a 0-1 count. Rips that one into center field for a base hit. On the play, Boucher hustles down to second base. Sliding in safely. Webster standing over on first with another single. And Haley Taylor now coming up once again. And I have to mention this one more time. Haley Taylor, if she could get a hold of one right here, she represents the winning run. Meadowdale with a 7-run lead. A 10-run lead in this inning would end the game. And therefore, if Taylor could hit a home run right now, it would end the game at 12-2. 1-0 count. Maddie winds and throws. Taylor rips that one down the right field line. Foul. 1-1. Of course, if you're just joining us, we were talking to Alyssa Rubel for the last couple innings, Meadowdale starting pitcher on the team that finished in third place last year, and we were talking about how solid Taylor was during the state tournament in Lacey last year, and Rubel informed us that she was actually playing with a muscle tear during that entire Taylor, that is, was playing with a muscle tear during that tournament, which makes everything that she accomplished even that much more amazing. And she certainly looks like she's healthy right now, and if this game holds up the way it is, a healthy Taylor down in Lacey this year is something that a lot of other teams will have to look out for, as she is definitely a threat both with her bat and with her glove over at third base, and now she's looking at a 2-2 count against Christensen. Christensen winds and pitches. Ball is hit into center field. Aversano floats over to her left, makes the catch. On the play, Boucher having to dive back into the base. She's safe, one away. And that will bring up number 10, Ashley Brook. Brook batting from the left-hand side.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
And here we go, top of the 7th inning, potentially the final 3 outs of the season for the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks. Hannah Wilcox to lead things off. I stand corrected, Fitzgerald to lead things off. And she tries to lay down a bunt, fielded by Rubel, fires it over to first in time. One away. And for potentially the final time of her career, Maddie Christensen, number 10, steps to the plate. Very fitting that the number 10 on the back of her jersey is also the number of home runs she has on the year. Only player in the area to have double-digit home runs. Takes the first pitch in the dirt, ball one. Outside ball 3. 3-0. In the dirt, and Wilcox heads on down to first base with a walk. Speaking of great seniors, here's another one, Hannah Beisch. Mentioned earlier, Beisch with 3 home runs this year so far. Had a lot of fun covering her over the last couple years as well. Another one of those players who always seemed to be at her best when we had the cameras on last year, and she had a few big games for us. Talked a little bit about that Enumclaw game earlier in the broadcast at the state tournament last year. A game in which she hit a solo home run 1 inning and then a grand slam the next. Grand slam that essentially beat Enumclaw and pushed the Hawks into day 2 of that state tournament. Score was 8-8 when she came up in the 6th inning and put one over the fence. And that was the final score as the Hawks won that game 12-8. And there is the final strikeout, and that is the ball game. The season has come to an end. The Mount Lake Terrace, for the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks, I should say. Meadowdale, congratulations to the Mavericks. They head to the state tournament for the 3rd straight year. They defeat the Hawks 9-2 here in 7 innings. And congratulations to Dennis Hopkins and his team. Players all lining up to shake hands right now. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll wrap things up here. Once again, Meadowdale 9, Mountain Lake Terrace 2. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
All right, and we are here to wrap things up. Not much of a post-game show, as told we need to get going here. Once again, the final score from Phil Johnson Fields in Mukilteo, Meadowdale 9, Mount Lake Terrace 2. The Meadowdale Mavericks are heading to Lacey for the state tournament for the third year in a row. And the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks, well, they see their season end here tonight in Mukilteo. Congratulations to all the players. I want to congratulate all 4 of the seniors on this Mount Lake Terrace Hawks team. Maddie Christensen, Hannah Beisch, Amanda Aversano, and Megan Bruce. Been a lot of fun covering all 4 of them for the last couple years, and we certainly wish them well. And we look forward to seeing what some of these younger Hawks can do next year. And for Meadowdale, should be a fun tournament down in Lacey. An experienced team that most of which have seen Lacey in the past, and they know what to expect down there. And we'll be pulling for the Mavericks as they continue their quest for possibly a state championship. Want to thank everybody that's been involved with Sound Live Sports Network all season long. Angelo Camo, who has been a rock star for 2 years now on these broadcasts. Without him, we are not able to do what we do, and quite frankly, we're the only school in the state that I know of, the only district, I should say, mainly the school, though, that is doing a program, anything even remotely close to this, and it's all due to him and what he's able to put together here, and not only in his abilities, but the time that he provides us with as well. So, Angelo Camo, thank you, my friend, for everything you've done, and we'd like to also thank TK Johnson for being a one-man show down below, and he's taking pictures for the Hawkeye. He's been tweeting out updates today, and he set up all the cameras. So, TK Johnson, you are a rock star. We appreciate everything as he comes up the stairs there as well. So, for Angelo, for TK, and for myself, Steve Willits, it has been one heck of a run this year. We've had a great time. We wish everybody in the Edmonds School District a happy graduation, happy prom, happy state tournaments. It's been a lot of fun to cover athletes for all 4 of the schools this year, and we certainly hope to be back in the fall of 14 for football season, doing this all over again. So, again, for our entire staff, thank you for watching. You've been watching the Sound Live Sports Network. Have a good night.